Hi, I'm Eric Siegel with Kitbashed Survival, and today we're going to be checking out a few items from Tiny Survival Gear. So we're going to take a look at the Tiny Survival Guide, the Tiny Survival Card, the Pocket 45 Advanced EDC Survival Kit, and then we've also got a couple tins that we can pack gear into. Specifically, we will try to pack this into one of these tins. So first up, we've got the Tiny Survival Guide, EDC wallet size. So it's about the size that you can fit in your wallet. A life insurance policy in your pocket. Disaster, wilderness, emergency, urban SERE, which is survival, evasion, resistance, escape. How to survive almost anything. So let's go ahead and open it up. So first up, there's a Fresnel lens right here, which I suppose you could use to start a fire if you wanted to, but I believe the reason it's in there is to make reading the survival guide a little bit easier, because you can see the print is pretty darn small. And this thing folds out quite a bit. That's a big old brochure. I pulled the camera back a bit just to show you how big this thing is, and it's front and back, so there is tons of information on here. Now obviously I'm not going to go over every single thing on here, but this is pretty impressive, I gotta say. And it all fits in your wallet. Not bad at all. So some of the sections are how to use this guide before you go, bug out or stay home, danger zone, first steps, the goal, first aid, shelter, fire, water, and then on the back we've got food, intro and hunting, food, trapping and fishing, food, foraging, navigation, self-defense, knots, SERE, hostage, worst case threats, about, desert, Arctic, tropics, and resources. So yeah, for a pocket survival guide, this is pretty darn impressive, I gotta say. Not bad at all. Up next, we've got the Tiny Survival Card. And this is probably the most clever item that I'm going to show you today. So let me go ahead and open this up. So this is not a unique item. You've seen these before, but it is very well executed in my opinion. So in between two magnetic cards is the survival card. And they advertise this as some last-ditch tools, so it's not a primary survival kit by any means. It's just a set of emergency tools that might come in handy in a pinch. So this is 302 stainless steel, and they've got the survival tools etched into the metal, and they can be removed fairly easily. So down here at the bottom, they've got a saw with two edges, a fine and a coarse. They've got a pair of tweezers here that can be removed and folded in half. These right here are the mini harpoons. So I guess with those you could harpoon a miniature whale. Then they've got 6 fishing hooks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this right here is a fishing lure that you can put on the fishing line along with the hook to try to attract a fish. Then they've got the big knife here, an arrowhead, what they call a finger drill, which you put in between 2 fingers and use to drill a hole, and then 3 needles. So let's go ahead and remove a couple of these items. We'll do the tweezers. There we go. And then fold them in half, like that. And there's your tweezers. Not bad. And then of course they've got the big knife here. Let's go ahead and remove that. Now, I don't know how sharp the knife is out of the box. In the video about this, they do mention pre-sharpening it. So you may want to remove it and sharpen it yourself. Yeah, out of the box, or out of the card I should say, this thing is not very sharp, and it definitely would need to be pre-sharpened. But that brings up one of the most clever things about this kit, which is, you know, what if you remove something from the kit? How do you get it back in there? Well, that's where the magnetic cards come into play. So we'll put this right here. And because it's magnetic, it means that I can just put my knife right back where it came from, just like that. And I can probably do the same with the tweezers. Just have to unfold them. I'm not sure how many times you'd want to fold and unfold these tweezers, because they might break, but you like that. And then put the other side down, and just like that, you've got it all back in there, ready to go back into your wallet. Pretty cool. Now, of course, some people are going to say that this thing is worthless and why even bother getting it because it's not a good survival kit. And yeah, this is not a primary survival kit, but Tiny Survival Gear acknowledges that, and they call this a last-ditch effort. So this should never be your primary source of survival gear. It's just an emergency backup. That's how I see it. Alright, now it's time for the main event, the Pocket 45 Advanced EDC Survival Kit. And I'm assuming it's called the Pocket 45 because there are 45 pieces in the kit. Alright, so first up we've got a Jolly Rancher, which is good for a survival kit. Always good to have some sugar, give you a little morale boost too. Then we've got a couple of Ranger bands. There they are. Then we've got a flashlight, and I've seen these before. You can do a momentary action by just pushing it like that, or there's a switch that allows you to keep it on for good. Not bad. And it's got a little keychain thing on it. Alright. So right here we've got some first aid items. We've got, looks like 3 Band-Aids. And then there's an alcohol prep pad. We've got some duct tape, some orange duct tape here. Some tin foil, sheet of tin foil, always good. 2 water purification tabs. A Fresnel lens, just like in the Pocket Survival Guide. Then we've got a little piece of paper here, probably for taking notes, and I'm going to assume that along with that paper you would use this pencil. I'm going to guess that this is probably a water bag, but let me go ahead and open it up just to be sure. Yeah, and this is just a water bag. Then we've got a couple of zip ties, always good to have. Then we've got a ferro rod and striker. And there it is, just your basic ferro rod. It's pretty small, and then a little striker. Ooh, it fell out. That's not good. Okay, I'm gonna have to do a little repair on this with some super glue. Hang on a second. Alright, I've got some super glue here, and we'll just put a little bit on the end of the ferro rod. And then put it back down in there. And then we'll wait a minute and see how it does. Yeah, now it's working just fine. So this is a perfect example of why you always want to open up and inspect any survival kit you have before taking it out in the field. Because something like this, you know, all it takes is a drop of super glue to fix it. But if I was to encounter this out in the field, it'd be a much bigger problem. Anyway, moving on, we've got 2 twisty ties to go with those zip ties. Not bad. Then we've got just a very basic whistle. Yeah, works fine. Then we've got a little candle. And then we've got some triple antibiotic ointment, bacitracin, neomycin, and polymyxin B. Then we've got some matches. Here's another first aid item. It's a gauze pad, so we'll put that over here with the other first aid stuff. And then we've got this little bag here. And let's see what we got in here. Okay, so we've got 2 pieces of tinder for making a fire. We've got 2 strike anywhere matches. There's a little bit of cork, probably for fishing with, I would assume, because there's a fishing lure right here. Then we've got some string or line. You could use this for fishing or sewing or anything else you might need some line for. Then we've got this stuff here. There's a sewing needle, 2 safety pins, 3 fishing weights, 3 fishing hooks, and a swivel. Then we've got this little compass sticker. Now, this is beginning to make sense. Okay, so the cork float, it could be used for fishing, but I believe this is supposed to be used in conjunction with the needle. So the cork, the needle, and this sticker could be used to fashion a rudimentary compass. Now, personally, I think this is a little weak. I think they should have just put a little button compass in there, but for whatever reason, they did it this way. Then we've got a razor, and then another ranger band. And then in the bag here on the other side of the front, they've got a list of all the stuff in the kit right there, and you can pause that and look at it if you want to. Alright, so here's the entire contents of the kit. So what I'd like to do now is repack all of this stuff into one of the metal tins that I also got from Tiny Survival Gear. So there's this one, which is the smaller of the two, and it comes with a stick-on label and a ranger band. And then there's the larger one, which also has a label and a ranger band. I think I'm going to try to get all this stuff into this tin if possible. Now, I'd like to add a few things if I can find room. So, first of all, I'm going to get rid of this compass sticker, and, you know, I'll keep the cork and the needle if I can, but I'm going to put a real button compass in there. Then I've got a mini med kit that has 4 ibuprofens, 2 Benadryls, and 2 Imodiums. Then I've got a little piece of fat wood to help with fire building. I'd like to be able to fit in a Melita coffee filter to help filter the water a bit when purifying it in that bag. And speaking of purifying the water, I'm going to add 4 more purification tablets for a total of 6. Then I'm going to add this little knife if I can find the space. This is a Spyderco Bug. It's just an itty bitty little knife. So hopefully I'll have room for that. And then finally, I really don't think there'll be room for this. It would be great if I could find it. I'd like to put some real paracord in here. This is some 275 paracord, about 8 feet worth. So there we go. That's all the stuff we're going to try to repack into the larger of the 2 tins. So let's go ahead and see if we can make it happen. Alright, well, it closes. It's a little tight. Let me see if I can get it a little bit better. Alright, so I got it all in there, and I only had to sacrifice 2 items to get all of that extra gear inside the kit. I removed these 2 small ranger bands to save some space, and because they were also redundant, because we've got the 2 bands on the outside now. And then I also removed that tiny little cork because, yeah, it'd be nice to have it in there, but I put a real compass in there, so this isn't really necessary anymore. Yeah, it's all in there. There is a little bit of springiness when you close the kit, but I think that's mainly because the water bag that's in there has a little bit of air and springiness to it. But that should settle down over time with these ranger bands around the outside. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way this turned out. This has been the Pocket 45 Advanced EDC Survival Kit from Tiny Survival Gear, made better with a few extra items and repackaged into one of their tins. So I hope you enjoyed this. That's it for now. This is Kitbashed Survival. I'm Eric Siegel, and I'll see you next time.